I am with you always, even to the end of the world. Matthew 28:20. Greetings to you all in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Class 6 ICSE Physics Light Part 2. Before we get into the lesson, let us learn some new words related to this topic, what we are going to learn today. Pinhole camera. Pinhole, pinhole camera. Camera. Shadow. 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 Third one, inverter. 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 Fourth one, umbra. 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 Fifth one, penumbra. 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 Sixth one, eclipse. 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 Seventh one, lunar eclipse. Lunar. Lunar eclipse. 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 Eighth one, solar eclipse. Solar. Solar eclipse. 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 Pinhole camera, shadow, inverter, umbra, penumbra, eclipse, lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. Last video we have learned about light, sources of light, incandescent sources, fluorescent light, LED light, and also we learned how light travels and also about transparent, translucent and opaque substances. In this class, now let us learn about shadows. A shadow is formed when an opaque object comes in the path of light. The opaque object does not allow light to pass through it and light cannot bend around the object. Hence, the region behind the object, here behind the hand, is dark. So, this dark region behind this hand, that is an opaque object, is a shadow of the object. Usually, we see a shadow when it falls on a surface such as a wall or a floor. Yes, a shadow is formed when some opaque objects comes in the path of the light. The shadow formed by an object depends on many things such as the relative sizes of the sources of light and the object, the distance between them and also the nature of the source of light. The shadow depends upon three things. First one, relative sizes of the source of light, for example sun, and the object, and also the distance between them and the nature of the source of light. Now let us explore something which determine the shape and size of a shadow. Here, as you are seeing in the screen, you are seeing the shadow of a tree. The shadow of a tree changes as the day progresses, isn't it? So to explore this, to find out that, fix a stick upright in an open field. Observe the length of its shadow and the direction in which the shadow falls at different times of the day. As the sun moves across the sky, that means as the time goes on, the shadow will move from one side of the stick to the other. Here from one side of the tree to the other side. This should be obvious as we all know. So the shadow will naturally fall on the side opposite to the source of the light. Here, the length of the shadow will change as the angle between the rays from the sun and the tree changes. So when the sun is overhead at noon, so at 12 o'clock sun will be above our head. So at that time the rays are almost parallel to the stick and the shadow is the smallest. So when the rays slant the most, In the morning and the evening, the shadow is the longest. So the length of the shadow changes with the angle between the rays of the sun and the tree. Now let us learn about point source. If the source is a point of light called a point source, the shadow formed by an object that comes in the path of its light is completely dark. This is because the light spreading out from the point source is completely cut off from the region behind the object. This dark region is called the umbra or the umbral region. A shadow formed by light from a point source is completely dark. It becomes larger as you move the screen farther away. So here the shape of the shadow depends on the position of the source, the object and the screen. For example, if you hold a square sheet of cardboard in front of a point source, that is in front of some candle or something, the shadow will be square only when the sheet and the screen are parallel. If you shake the sheet or the screen a little bit, you will see a diamond-shaped shadow. This picture in the screen shows how to calculate the length of a shadow with the angle between the rays of the sun and the stick, as we have learned before. This picture is for extended source. Here, when an object comes in the path of light from an extended source, the shadow form it has two different paths. There is a completely dark region, as you can see in the screen, that is called the umbra, and that umbra is surrounded by a comparatively lighter region, a light portion called the penumbra. When such a shadow falls on a screen or a surface, the umbra has sharp outlines while the penumbra looks fuzzy. So in this screen you can see that this picture shows what happens when the object is smaller than the source. You can see that the source is bigger one and the object is a smaller one. So here the umbra is like a cone that extends only up to a particular distance. If you place a screen beyond the distance, then you will not see a dark shadow. This is in contrast where the object is larger than the source and the umbra extends indefinitely into space. So when birds and aeroplanes fly above the earth, this will happen. The umbra is too small to reach the earth, so that only we do not see a shadow. So in this picture, the umbra is a cone that extends only up to a particular distance when the object is smaller than the source. Now let us learn about a most interesting topic, that is eclipses. Eclipses are nothing but they are shadows. They occur when the shadow of the earth falls on the moon or the shadow of the moon falls on the earth. So you know that the moon revolves around the earth, as we all know, and together they go around the sun. Revolution and rotation takes place by the earth. So from time to time in the course of these travels, all three happens to be in one straight line. So this is when an eclipse occurs. So while the earth revolve or rotate around the sun, they all come to form in a straight line, and that time eclipses occurs. Now let us learn about lunar eclipse. So here in lunar eclipse, when the earth comes between the sun, you can see earth is between the sun and the moon. So the moon may pass through the umbra of the earth's shadow. So when this happens, the moon becomes dark and there is a total lunar eclipse. So if only a part of the moon passes through the umbra, there is a partial eclipse. And if the moon passes through the penumbra, it looks little dull, but hardly dull enough for us to make out. So you know that when the moon lies opposite the sun, we see its full face, or there is a full moon. A lunar eclipse can therefore occur only when the moon is full. Same way, solar eclipse, but in solar eclipse, the moon comes between the sun and the earth. So when the moon comes between the sun and the earth, its shadow falls on the earth. So people who are inside the shadow see the sun either partially or not at all. So if the umbra of the moon shadow reaches the earth, people in this region do not see the sun at all. They then observe a total eclipse. On the other hand, people in the penumbral region gets light from some part of the sun. So in other words, they can see a part of the sun or a partial eclipse. Now let us recall what we have learned in this video. Shadow. A shadow is formed when some opaque object comes in the path of the light. Opaque object means the object which does not pass the light. The second one about umbra, the dark region of the shadow where no light reaches. The dark place is called the umbra, UMBRA. Next about eclipse. Eclipse of the sun and the moon can occur only when the moon, the air and the sun lie on a straight line. And third one, solar eclipse. Solar eclipse occurs when the shadow of the moon falls on the earth on a new moon day. And last, a lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse occurs when the earth comes between the sun and the moon on a full moon night. Thank you.